Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by
Infinity of Memphis has moved to Germantown Road, just half-mile north of Wolf Chase Galleria, and is proud to support WKNO for its quality broadcasting and service to our community. Quality and service? No wonder Infinity of Memphis feels at home on WKNO.
the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
My guest today on Sports Files is the general manager of the Memphis Grizzlies, Chris Wallace. Despite a recent four-game losing streak and injuries to Zach Randolph and Tony Allen, the Memphis Grizzlies have compiled one of the league's top records through the first 30 or so games of the season. And even with Marc Gasol's pending free agency looming at season's end, much of the team's success this season can be attributed to stability. Yes, stability. This just a year after arguably the most unstable season since the team arrived in Memphis. There was a change at head coach to begin the season and a massive upheaval in the front office to end it. And through it all, general manager Chris Wallace kept to himself. The major decision maker in personnel moves since his arrival in 2007, Wallace became nothing more than a figurehead, while team president Jason Levian took control of both the team's basketball and business decisions. Wallace remained on the staff, but his input was hardly requested. Instead, he kept his distance, contemplating his future. Then Grizzlies principal owner Robert Parra decided to relieve Levian of his duties late last spring, elevating Wallace back to his position of chief decision maker on the basketball operations side. As the late Jerry Garcia once said, "What a long, strange trip it's been." Today, Grizzlies general manager Chris Wallace makes another visit to the show as we discuss the chances this team has to win it all, or are there changes on the horizon? It's all next on Sports Files. Chris, great to have you back on the show. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too, Greg.
All right, before we talk Grizzlies, got to talk college football. I know you love college football. Your West Virginia Mountaineers, your home state, they were in action Monday in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl game. Put up a good fight, fell to Texas A&M. I'm sure you were over there and had a chance to watch your Mountaineers.
Well, I was at the game.
Yeah.
I met with Coach Holgerson when he was here. Both teams were here for our game against Houston on Friday night. Hung around at the hotel with him, saw Oliver Luck, Andrew's dad, our athletic director, is moving on to be Mark Emmert's number 2 guy at the NCAA. So it was fabulous for me to have West Virginia down here in Memphis, my adopted hometown, in a bowl game. Everything was great but the final score.
Why are you such a big college football fan?
College football is my favorite sport. I was exposed to it at a very early age. My dad took me to my first game when I was 5 years old at West Virginia. I saw Roger Staubach in Navy. I've seen so many great players over the years play, particularly at West Virginia. The Penn State teams, Joe Paterno coach, Lydell Mitchell, Franco Harris.
Right.
I saw the Mad Stork, Ted Hendricks of Miami, Larry Nance and Zonka with Syracuse.
Guys I all grew up with watching.
Tony Dorsett at Pitt I saw numerous times. Dan Marino, the great Miami teams of Jimmy Johnson, Michael Irvin, all those guys. I've been to probably about 8 to 10 bowl games.
Everybody who knows you around here knows how big a fan you are. You're always at the Touchdown Club meetings, but you're such
And I'll tell you what, college football launched me in an indirect way into what I do now.
Okay, let me get to that. You decide you're going to go to Kansas. You go to Kansas, you're a huge college football fan. You start the Blue Ribbon Yearbook, you're talking basketball here. So why not football?
Well, I reached a fork in the road. I'm going to start a publication. So am I going to the left with basketball or the right with football? And I just looked at all the competition on the newsstands and the availability. This is in the early 80s, 1981, for example. And there just, to me, seemed to be more competition, a harder road in front of me with football.
Makes sense.
That there was less competition and basketball, so I went that way.
All right, let's talk about this team, this year, this season so far, 23-8 as we tape this. It's a lot different for you personally from what it was last year. How tough was that last year, and how great is it to be back in the saddle, doing the things you love to do as a basketball exec?
Well, I wasn't working on a day-to-day basis last year. I was kind of watching from afar, following the team obviously was a tremendous amount of interest. It's much better to be back, in the line of fire, so to speak, right there with the great front office we have, an ownership group, and be working together to bring that first championship to Memphis. So I'd much rather be active, and in the fray than stepping back and sort of being a glorified fan, so to speak.
Was it really hard to bite your lip and just stand in the background and not say anything?
No, because I felt it was best. No one asked me to move to the background. That's sort of a misconception. I moved there myself because I didn't want to be considered someone that was meddling, trying to get in the way of a new regime. So I voluntarily moved back and let everybody have their space.
I know you won't get into specifics, but when Robert Pear approached you and decided to make the change in the hierarchy, and you're thrust back into the position that you came here to be in, to run the show, to run the basketball operations, you came here in 07, 08. What was that like? What was that conversation like to have Robert on your side and wanting you back in the
Well, I'll be
fold?
honest with you, I mean, it's a gift from heaven, because if it wasn't for Robert and Joe Abadi and bringing me back, I probably wouldn't be working in the NBA this year. I would be doing the same thing I did last year, which is, on a prolonged vacation. Now, there is a positive in that is, you don't have to sweat the games quite the extent you do
Right.
when you're active and you're living and dying on every basket. But again, I'm a basketball professional. I've been in the NBA since 1986 with 7 teams, and I feel unfulfilled because I've never been on a championship team. So the further I'm on the outside, I'm not getting closer to that goal. And in any occupation, Greg, when you get away from the action and you're outside the circle and outside looking in, it can be very difficult to get a job. I've always found it's the easiest to get a job when you have a job.
Right.
So, I was running the risk of being yesterday's news if Robert didn't bring me back.
So here you are with this team playing as well as anybody in the league. Do you have enough pieces in place with this team right now, with this roster, to win it all?
Well, I don't think you ever get satisfied and lull yourself into a false sense of security until you win a championship. Then you can say, we have our team. You're always tinkering, trying to get better. Every team in the NBA is. We're no different. We're on the phone virtually every day discussing trade possibilities, other teams, looking at free agents, monitoring the D-League, which is, we've got a better vantage point now that we got Chris Macris, our Director of Minor League Operations, and the whole Iowa Energy thing going. But again, you can never stop. And look, in recent years, there have been some terrific in-season additions. Last year, and I can't claim any credit for it, but the administration did a great job bringing in James Johnson and swinging the trade for Courtney Lee and picking up Beno Udrih late after he'd been released by the Knicks. I felt from my vantage point, if James Johnson and Lee weren't acquired when they did, I don't think the Grizzlies would have made the playoffs last year. They held the fort down to Marcus, who came back and was healthy. A few years ago, we picked up Leon Poe, who didn't play a great deal, but was a tremendous addition to our locker room and did produce when he did get in the game. So it's great to pick up some of these guys for the stretch run if you can do it. Now, we don't want to compromise our future in any addition, and we obviously have to be careful of the financial ramifications. Every team in the league does. You have to watch the luxury tax, but we're aggressively out there, and who knows where that's going to take us.
You also don't want to ruin chemistry. The chemistry between these guys, the continuity, especially with the Big Four, it's been here for a long time. With that said, Dallas goes out and gets a Rajon Rondo. Houston picks up a Josh Smith. When you see those moves within your division, what do you think?
Well, those are terrific moves for those two teams. Those are big-time established players. They dipped a little bit in the last couple of years due to some other circumstances. Now you put them on a team that's got a chance to win big. They're going to go back to the level of play they were when they were all-stars. But we're not going to just be reactionary and say, okay, Dallas Houston made a move, we got to make one too. It has to be the right move that fits for this team. And I can't really predict whether a move will occur or not at this point in time.
What do you think this team can use, just from the outside looking in?
We can always use more outside shooting, particularly the three-point variety. More help on the perimeter, guys that can maybe create their own shot, and someone at any given night could go for 15, 20, 25 points, but everybody else is looking for that kind of guy too. So we're very happy with the group we have, but again, you can never get complacent in the NBA. I go by this mantra: you're never as good as you look when things are rolling and everybody's patting you on the back when you're going down the street. And you're never as bad as when you're losing and they're kicking you to the curb. It's always somewhere in the middle
Right,
where the
right.
reality is.
You guys did approach Ray Allen a few years ago before he signed with Miami. Is that not correct?
That was an off-season move. That's different.
Okay.
It wasn't an in-season move. Most of the in-season moves that are made over the NBA as far as adding free agents, we and virtually every other team are involved with those players. It's sort of like college recruiting. You get some and some you don't. Players are looking for the best situation for themselves to
Right.
showcase their skills for a brief period of time the rest of the year. So it's a little different situation than recruiting a Vince Carter at, say, in the off season, who's looking to sign a multiple year deal. He has plenty of time to look over and assess the various situations. This is more of a bang bang thing. A guy's
Right, right.
released, then he signs within a few days, or players that are playing overseas get other contracts, come home. D-League, obviously, the players have no choice. They'll just take whoever picks them up.
Okay, you'd said that you're always on the phone. How many phone calls would you get in a week? Just a guesstimate.
Well, it's not just me; it's the entire group. Ed Stefanski, John Hollinger. I mean, we're all involved in talking to teams.
Is this something on a daily basis? Would you say?
I would say virtually every day
Wow.
of the year we're talking to somebody. I mean, some days there's multiple. I mean, well over 10 calls. Other days it's just a few, and the intensity of trade talks in the NBA starts to pick up around December 15th because all the free agents that are signed this summer are not eligible to be traded until after December 15th. Then obviously it culminates in the third Thursday of February each year when the trading deadline ends that afternoon. So we're in the trading season right now.
Marc Gasol is having a tremendous year. Everybody knows it's the final season of his current contract. How confident are you that Marc will be back with the Grizzlies?
We'll re-sign him. I can't tell you the exact date that it's going to get done, but we've re-signed Marc twice before. And since his team got good and was going to be a contender 4 years ago, we've re-signed Zach Randolph twice. We've re-signed Marc Gasol twice. We've signed Mike Conley, and we've twice signed Tony Allen. And we signed Rudy Gay during all that as well. So we've never struck out on the guy that's a prime target here.
So you say you're signing him.
We're going to get him done, yeah. And there's no reason for him to go. Why would he want to go anywhere else, Greg?
Chris, what does that say about this organization and about obviously I go back to the continuity of these guys, that they all want to stay, they want to re-sign, they want to play here. That should also say something to free agents out there when thinking about Memphis down the line.
No, we stick to our guys. We've taken care of them, and we've got tremendous continuity. I don't have any analytical research here to try it out, but I would say our core guys have been together. It's got to be in the top 5 in the league in terms of their time together, and that helps you win games. And continuity is a very important variable to have on your side in the NBA, and the chemistry also is enhanced when players know if they produced, they're going to get rewarded. Players want to go to a place where they can contend. We can contend here. We play in as good a facility as there is in the world. We got great fans. Memphis is a terrific town to live in. All the guys that come here, love it. So why would you want to leave?
Vince
The
Carter.
grass is greener on this side of the fence.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
You've sold me. Vince Carter, one of the big offseason acquisitions. Obviously, you didn't decide to go back with bring back Mike Miller. He's in Cleveland. What has Vince been for this team so far?
Well, let's start from the locker room standpoint. He is a tremendous person to add to the team. He's got great basketball mind. He's a selfless guy who's willing to help, particularly younger players. Players look up to him because Vince Carter's been one of their basketball heroes, and he just loves to compete, fit in. He doesn't come in with any sort of prima donna.
Seems genuine.
No, he's as genuine as you could get. I mean, that's a guy that you say, wow, if he wanted to, come in and be a big timer, you can certainly understand it with what he's achieved in the league. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. Was he top 25 in scoring?
Right.
And complete opposite. He's as good a teammate as I've ever seen in my time in the NBA.
Chris, all-star rosters, as you know, are limited. This season, with what the Grizzlies are doing, the performances out there on the court by Marc Gasol, by Mike Conley, by Zach Randolph, how many representatives should you have in the All-Star game, honestly?
Well, we still have a month or more to play before the voting takes place. I mean, I don't think there's any question Marc Gasol should be voted in. He shouldn't have
As
to
a
come
starting
in with the
center in
coaches.
the West, right?
Absolutely,
Okay.
right? He's as good as there is in the game at that position. He's a genuine MVP candidate. Mike Conley is having the best year of his career. In my opinion, he's deserving of All-Star recognition. And I'd love to see Zach Randolph go in again. He's as good as combination scorer, rebounder of the power forward positions we have, but that'll all take care of itself. When you win, the individual accolades follow.
And when you win, the fans come out. When you put out a good product, the fans come out. The fans have been unbelievable. I think 6 sellouts after the Spurs game. It's been quite the accomplishment since the arrival of this organization here in this city to turn these fans into NBA fans, but it's been quite phenomenal.
Well, the Grizzlies have been a terrific addition to the city, not just for what they've meant on the court, but they bring Memphis together in a way that very few endeavors do.
I agree.
You see all segments of our Memphis society at our games. I don't think there's a more diverse crowd in professional sports than a Grizzly crowd. And I've always said, Greg, this is the foremost basketball city in the South. When you consider the roots of the game here, go down to high school level, the great teams like Melrose and tremendous players, Penny Hardaway, and
great history.
Yes, Larry Finch, and Johnny Newman. I could go on and on about all the great players that have come out of Memphis. On the collegiate level, what the Tigers have achieved during the history of their program, and the likes of Gene Bartow, and who we still hold so dear in our hearts, and Dana Kirk, and Josh Pastner, and Calipari, and Final Four trips, and 2 times in the national championship game. Now on the professional level, we've had 3 ABA teams here before the NBA team came, with the TAMs, the Sounds, and the pros. Then now the NBA's been here for over a decade, playing in the finest arena in the country. And so I felt when I came here and we were down that it wasn't because this is not a basketball city. It is. We just had to give them a team to get excited about. When we did, the fans came. And they've been phenomenal, and our home court atmosphere here in FedEx Forum, particularly in the playoffs, is as good as it gets in the league.
By the way, you're a walking encyclopedia of local basketball knowledge. Very impressive. You know who else is impressive? Your coach, Dave Yeager. There was a lot of talk when Lionel Hollins was not brought back, was this the right move? And here's young Dave Yeager, had never been a head coach in the NBA, but had been in other leagues.
Dave is,
this guy's been phenomenal.
Chronologically young, but he's well beyond his age in basketball experience. I mean, he was a very successful championship coach in several minor leagues. If you can win in the minor leagues, that's the most difficult level of basketball, in my opinion, to coach, because it's chaotic. Players are coming and going. Guys get selfish because they realize that, hey, I don't think I can get where I want to go by being a teammate. I got to go put points on the board to have the NBA look at me. Some guys packing in and leave you in the middle of the year and go overseas. So it's just constant transition and chaos, and teams folding, coming back. This is before the D-League. So he cut his teeth and won at a level, again, where you didn't have any great advantage. It's not like he's at a Alabama football in the minor leagues or a big market team. The guy also learned from the ground up. He's an assistant. He was the guy with the box, taking the tickets, doing the promotions, going around town, selling the sponsorship and all that. And so he was not just a young assistant, hotshot assistant, being elevated 2 feet over to the head coach's chair. This guy had been prepared and groomed, plus he'd been with us for 6 years. He knew all of our players. He'd worked with them several years. He was the assistant coach who was in charge of the defense with Lionel Hollins, and he turned our defense around. We became an elite team at that end of the floor. So he was well deserving of this opportunity, and because he came through the organization, he knew our players and which buttons to push in a way that an outsider would not have known.
And they knew him.
Right. And so that commonality worked to his credit, and he's just done a terrific job. And he's so good at, by the seat of his pants, drawing up plays out of timeouts, late game situation. The case in point, the shot that he got Courtney Lee for the game-winning tip-in against Sacramento. All good coaches are great plagiarizers. He stole that from Alvin Gentry a few years ago, and he ran it against him in Phoenix in his first game as an NBA head coach. So I think Dave is just fantastic and has a phenomenal future in this game as a head coach.
All right, Chris, final thing for you. I got about a minute, but it'll try to make that delicate segue from basketball to Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey returns to WKNO Sunday night at 8 o'clock, and I know that I imagine your lovely wife visited.
Yes, we went to London on vacation. We went to the castle out in the countryside and toured the Downton Abbey. We were right there on site. It was a fantastic day, and I can't wait for this year's episode to start.
What makes you a fan of the show?
Well, I love England. I just like to hear English people talk. I mean, they could, read a promo, and I love it. And it's just a tradition behind that show, and it's just, I think, as good as it gets on television. So count me in as a fan.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you as a fan. Is England your favorite place outside this country to visit?
No, that would be Israel.
Israel?
Yeah, Israel's my favorite country. Italy's way up there, Greece. Got to say that with Costa Koufos and Calathes. But I legitimately love Greece. I've been there like probably 15, 20 times.
Wow.
Turkey, Argentina. I've never been to a country outside, and I've been to 26 of them, that I didn't enjoy myself and find it very interesting.
Chris, we always appreciate your time. Again, continued success. It's been a phenomenal story, and hopefully it'll continue. Thank you so much.
Take care. It's been my pleasure, Greg.
We'll take a break. Overtime is next. So the new year is upon us, 2015. And every year at this time, we tend to make some resolutions for the new year. You know, things like vowing to lose weight or eat healthier or work out more or, well, you catch my drift. So I thought for this week's Overtime segment, I would compile a wish list for 2015 dealing with the local sports world. Not quite resolutions, nor is it a list of predictions, but rather something I think we would all love to see. So here we go. In 2015, the Memphis Grizzlies would like to finish as hot as they started this season when they had the best record in the NBA. A high seed in the West, 3 playoff series wins, and a spot in the NBA Final. Then, since we're throwing out wishes, why not a shocking NBA World Championship and a parade right here in downtown Memphis? Of course, to achieve that lofty goal, Marc Gasol would have to continue his torrid start to the season. So here's a couple of wishes for Big Spain in 2015. A starting spot on the Western Conference All-Star team, and more importantly, a shiny new contract with the Grizzlies at season's end. For the Memphis Tigers basketball team, the hope is the new year will provide renewed enthusiasm from the fan base as the Tigers make a run at the American Athletic Conference title. The start of the 2014-15 season has been disappointing to say the least. The Tigers are void of quality wins and have lost by double digits to the 4 best teams on their schedule to date. But in 2015, there is a renewed commitment by the Blue and Gray. The team gels, peaks at tournament time in Connecticut, and earns its way into the big dance. Now, after a spectacular 2014 season where they won 10 games, the Tigers football team follows it up with another big season. After sharing the conference title last season, the Tigers win the first ever conference title game and own the crown by themselves. The Tigers end up the highest-ranked non-Power 5 team and find their way into the New Year's 6. Quarterback Paxton Lynch is named the league's Offensive Player of the Year, and the Tigers average a stellar 40,000 a game. Well, could 2015 finally be the year Tiger Woods plays at the FedEx St. Jude Classic? Probably not, but since we're making a wish list, here's to another stellar FESJC and hopes for an incredible field that would somehow include Woods. And while we're at it, I wish the PGA could somehow include in their bylaws a provision making it mandatory for every tour member to play each official tour stop at least once in a 5-year period. Of course, the players are considered independent contractors, so this wish may be more or less a dream. 2015 will be the first year for the newly named Memphis Open Tennis Tournament. The event will now be jointly run by the Racquet Club and the United States Tennis Association. Memphis has a great history with the ATP Tour, and after years of dwindling attendance and lackluster fields, here's hope that 2015 will begin a resurgence and a move in the positive direction for the event. The Memphis Redbirds, like the Memphis Open Tennis Tournament, also made some dramatic changes in 2014 and is hoping the payoff begins in 2015. The Redbirds are now owned by the parent St. Louis Cardinals, and with $4.5 million in renovations being put into AutoZone Park, the upgrades should enhance the fan experience of attending a game at one of the top minor league baseball venues in the entire country. The Cardinals' new contract with the city of Memphis secures the affiliation for many years to come. Other wishes for the new year. Well, the continued emergence of Ole Miss as a national title contender, and Hugh Freeze as one of college football's most innovative coaches. Mississippi State quarterback Dak Prescott is one of the favorites to win the Heisman, and the Bulldogs to once again challenge in the SEC West. The Arkansas Razorbacks' continued improvement under coach Brett Bielema, who have figured out a way to win with old-fashioned football. And the Tennessee Vols to seize control of the SEC East and become a beast under Coach Butch Jones. So here's to all local athletes in their continued pursuit of excellence through hard work and dedication. May they fulfill their quests for championships, scholarships, and pride. Let's make 2015 the best sports year in recent memory for all the area teams and athletes. And that'll do it for now. The Memphis Tigers take the floor once again tomorrow at FedEx Forum as they face Tulane, and we'll have the replay telecast for you tomorrow night at 10:30 right here on WKNO. Also, you can see any of our previous Sports Files shows by checking out our archives at WKNO.org. Just click on KNO Tonight, followed by the Sports Files icon. And until we talk to you again, have a great week, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next time.
Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by
Infinity of Memphis has moved to Germantown Road, just half-mile north of Wolf Chase Galleria, and is proud to support WKNO for its quality broadcasting and service to our community. Quality and service? No wonder Infinity of Memphis feels at home on WKNO.